Yeah, so I've had this bike. This is my first bike and my only bike. It's a Trek Marlin. I think I got it when I was 12, which was when I learned to bike. So uh this has been my bike for a while, and then over the years when I started biking more, I added a basket, like a little phone carrier so I can have directions and that sort of thing. So it's pretty functional. I lived here my whole life except for 3 years I lived in Virginia, and I got this while I lived in Virginia, and I was in a very car dependent place, so the only time I was biking was on trails. So that was when I got this. But then we moved back because we preferred an urban environment, and uh, I just started using this to get around the city. I started biking sort of during the pandemic because I hadn't learned how to bike ever, and it seemed like a good time since I had a lot of free time and weren't a lot of cars on the street. So I learned how to bike, and then I once I learned, I really enjoyed it. And then I also got into sort of like urbanism and people-centered planning. So I started biking more for those reasons too. And as like if I'm running errands for my family, I hop on my bike and do that. Well, I first sort of got fascinated with urban planning around, I guess, 2.5 years ago, and I had gotten into the urbanism content on YouTube, and there's a lot of great urban planning content, and uh, I learned about a lot of concepts that I hadn't heard about before, like Dutch style bike lanes. And I also, I'm an environmentalist, so um, I felt like this was the easiest way I could change my lifestyle to be the most environmentally friendly. Um, so I got fascinated with that, and ever since then, I've been volunteering for canvassing for like Better Street Chicago. I'm I read a lot about it. It's one of my favorite subjects to explore, and I'm currently reading "Killed by a Traffic Engineer" by Wes Marshall. Um, so it's just become a subject that I'm really interested in, and I hope to pursue it uh, throughout my life and study it in college. And I use it to get to school on some days. I either walk or bike to school. I use it if it's if I need to get someplace faster than transit can take me. I hop on my bike. I think the farthest I one time rode to Hyde Park to go to a bookstore from Lincoln Square. So that was the farthest trip I've done on my bike for transportation purposes. Um, but so I'm mainly doing it to uh, if run errands, commute to school. Mainly, I also do recreational rides and explore the city that way. Well, it's a great way. I feel like it's the sort of the happy medium between walking and uh, being on a bus or being in a car, because you can get places a lot faster, but you still feel like you're outside in the urban environment rather than being inside a piece of metal. And you can you're going slow enough where you can enjoy the street and the people walking. Uh, but it's also really efficient. I mean, it's just as fast in a lot of scenarios as driving or uh, things like that. But it's fun. It's enjoyable. I've read a lot of studies that, especially in teens, it's really good uh, for their mental health because it helps some of the parts of the brains that are still developing, since it engages so many different parts. Since you have to balance, you have to be moving your legs, so it's good for your mental health, and it's just an enjoyable way to get around. Yeah, whenever I get getting out and getting a little exercise is really important to me. And so whenever when there are days when I don't get out on my bike or uh, I don't feel like as tired at the end of the day. I don't feel like I've exerted myself enough. So when I'm on my bike, it makes me happy because it's environmentally friendly. I'm doing something I believe in, and I'm also getting exercise, and I just feel a lot better at the end of the day. So I think a lot of people are sort of say, "Oh, I don't want to bike," and then they list a bunch of reasons, but most of those reasons usually come down to cars. Like it's not safe. It's like the bike lanes are usually not cleared. Usually snow is shoveled into the bike lanes. So in the cold months, people are afraid because they're worried they'll slip or something. And those are the things that I don't enjoy about biking. But I think what's important to note is that those are all things that can change if the city, if there's the political will to create a more bike-friendly city and a more environmentally city by extension. Well, I would say look at all of the international examples and even the like even the national examples like Portland or Minneapolis, where they've built more bike infrastructure, and it can seem if you just build one bike lane, it isn't going to make your whole city safer. So it can that can feel dangerous because even if you just have one safe route, then you're not going to just use one street for your whole trip. Uh, but the more, if you build like an actual bike network, what happens is there are less cars on the street. So even on streets where there isn't bike infrastructure, it becomes safer. Um, Cars go at slower speeds. There are more bikes, so people are more aware of bikers. I think I've felt that these past few years as I've read like in the past 5 years, the amount of people biking in Chicago has grown by like 120%. And I think drivers have become a lot more aware. And that's what happens when you begin to build bike infrastructure. There begins to be a culture, and at first it seems like a big change, but then eventually people say, "I can't believe we never had a bike lane here," or um, I can't believe I never biked around the city." People will say that sort of thing. So it seems strange at first, but then soon it becomes the new normal. What I've learned is that um, my friends who bike are a lot more independent because, um, if their bus is running late, they don't need to. If their family owns a car, they don't need to tell their parent to come drive them. And they have a lot more options because I have friends who could drive if they wanted to, but they don't have they could drive if they had access to a car, but their family doesn't own a car. Their family owns one car, so their parents are using that. So their only option is bike or public transit. So I think it's a great way for them to get out and explore the city on their own and create their own relationship with the city and the urban environment. I also think it's like I know, like I have a twin sister who we're the same age, but she's a little more worried about. Uh, I'm a sort of a I don't know, maybe I've like one time biked on Western, so that probably wasn't a good idea. I got off it pretty soon, but so she's a little less I guess ignorant in where to bike than me, so she can sometimes be a little more cautious, and I think like that's a good thing. And you can bike on residential streets if you don't feel comfortable biking on a main thoroughfare, and so there's a lot of, even if it's just biking a couple miles, it can be really fun. I would just say like get out there and bike. It's at first it seems like a little daunting. Like I remember the first time I rode on like a main thoroughfare on my own. I was like, oh, these cars are going fast. But then um, eventually you become experienced in how you can stay safe on the road. And the more people who bike, the safer it becomes. So.
Thanks for watching that interview. Subscribe to see more conversations with Chicagoans biking around their city, dropping every other week.